What do you think of, like, whether this is training or nutrition or lifestyle, what do you think are maybe like the foundational pillars or the big boulders that people should be focusing on before even bothering, rearranging the pebbles?
Yeah, so I frame health like around four like fundamental foundations. Number one is like sleep, and I would really tie that to the circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
If you and this is something I would not have said even 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, like I try to be somewhat cutting edge, but I acknowledge there's people that are far more smarter than myself. But the importance of circadian rhythm and having your biology aligned with the sun, and the necessity of this solar exposure, light exposure for really every system in the body. Like the fertility, infertility experience I had with my wife, like before we had kids, like that really served as a way to tune me to the importance of that. But if you are circadian aligned, where like essentially you wake up at like a reasonably early hour, you go outside, you get some measure of morning sunlight, you actually are exposed to some amount of sun throughout the day, that's more or less going to lead to good sleep patterns. I think like the big miss with sleep oftentimes, how do you sleep better? I'm like, your sleep starts with the time you wake up.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know too many people where they wake up at 6 a.m. and go outside and it's like, I can't sleep. I'm like, that insomnia is probably more of a, again, circadian dysregulation versus like any sort of like one particular habit. I have too much caffeine. I'm like, I have a lot of friends that have caffeine. We all sleep fine. We all wake up early.
Same.
Now, if you wake up and you never go outside, and then you also go to bed really late, and then you're also doing like the blue light blast, where it's
totally, man.
You got the laptop at full blast. It's like 1 a.m. Like, that's going to cause problems. But answer the question. I'm distracting myself. So you have circadian alignment, you have sleep. Like this is fundamental. We can throw nutrition in there, and we can get more detailed than that. And then with movement, I just sort of put that into two very simple categories. You have exertional, long duration movement, which is being able to walk, to run, to just be going through space for extended periods of time. If you can walk for 2 or 3 hours, no problem, you're probably reasonably healthy. And then you have intense short duration movement, which is actually exerting yourself and doing things where are probably going to be more complicated, more loaded. And then you can start subdividing that further into disciplines and various methods. But if you have those four things going for you, and you could add in a fifth, which is human connection, having relationships, loving your life, you're probably going to be reasonably healthy. And then obviously now we have like the longevity movement. You can, the human quantification movement. You can try to attach numbers to everything and optimize. And I think that can get very overly complex and pedantic very fast. But there's people that are very into it, right? I don't think we're going to beat death at all. That's a emergent property of the universe. But
don't tell Brian Johnson that. He's trying to
you could
forever,
try it, right?
He's trying.
He's trying.
That's one of the things that kind of drives me mad. This, overanalyzing life to death, and life is experiential event. Go out and live it, and certainly give a crap about your health. Do the right things, and want to more so optimize for later life in terms of how you get to enjoy those latter years. Because I think the classical model of aging now is, forget the stat, but I think the average 60-year-old in America now is on at least one prescription drug, but the average is like 4 by that age, and they're usually in pain and looking down the barrel of a hip or knee replacement. Whereas then you've got other people that buck the trend, like Mark Sisson's an OG. I love that guy. And he just had a hip replacement, funnily enough, but he's still thriving. He's 70 years old. He looks great. And he's basically also saying like, hey, relax a little bit, do the fundamentals right. Sprint once in a while, walk often, get out into sunlight, lift heavy things a couple times a week, have good connections, have a healthy sex life, and you're going to live a happy, healthy, and long life, but yes, you're not going to outsmart death, and it rarely works when we try and outsmart nature. So, all right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.